This weekend, Formula One is heading to Austin, the most loved race in the US. But what makes this race better than the other ones? In this video, we're going to be looking at the long and complicated relationship between Formula One and the US and how Austin is the track that finally made it work. We'll also be talking about the current state of the championship, the 2025 predictions, what to expect for this weekend, and the ill-timed mess the McLaren finds themselves in again. Formula One in America have history, the one that should be labeled with a toxic but we tried label. It all started back in the 1950s, the honeymoon phase, Sebring, Riverside, Watkins Glen. Watkins Glen was the golden era. Crowds loved it, the racing was pure, and for a while it felt like a real love story. But then came Detroit. Tight corners, crumbling asphalt, manhole covers flying loose. It was like trying to have a date night in a construction zone. The spark was gone. Phoenix tried next, but it was held in 40 degrees heat with barely anyone in the stands. Formula One was ready to commit, but America clearly wasn't calling back. And then came Indianapolis 2005. Only 6 cars started the race after a tire safety dispute, and everyone else pulled into the pits and quit. Fans booed, TV ratings tanked, and that was it. The official breakup. For years, this relationship was over. The US had IndyCar and NASCAR, and Formula One had the rest of the world. But you know how it goes. Time passes, you start remembering the good moments, and someone texts, "Hey, what if we tried again?" And in 2012, America replied with a Texan accent. Out of the red clay near Austin rose a track that didn't try to be Europe or Vegas or Monaco. It was raw, loud, and completely itself. And it worked. Austin found a way to balance everything Formula One kept getting wrong in the US. It wasn't trying to be glamorous or exclusive or filled with celebrities, it was just about the racing. When the Circuit of the Americas opened in 2012, it immediately became the heartbeat of Formula One's comeback to the States. The elevation changes, the massive climb into Turn 1, the sunset drives, the energy of the crowd, the southern cowboy aesthetic, it felt alive. And since then, it has seen everything. Safety cars, title fights, broken suspensions, and a lot of cowboy hats. Through every new US race, Miami's fake marina, Vegas' neon spectacle, Austin stayed the same. Loud, rough, and with a feeling of authenticity. And that is what makes it special. The Circuit of the Americas has a length of 5.5 kilometers long, 20 corners, 2 DRS zones, and the race itself lasts 56 laps. Circuit of the Americas is what happens when you grab your favorite pieces of different Formula One tracks and you glue them together with barbecue sauce. COTA isn't a normal track, it's a Frankenstein monster created from all the best corners around the world. Turn 1, also sometimes referred to as the tower, is a 40-meter climb straight into a blind hairpin, and it offers an incredible overtaking opportunity, especially in lap 1. Or if you're in the back of the pack, just straight dive bomb. This turn in lap 1 has offered chaos every single year, and I'm hoping that this year follows through as well. Then we get the S's from turns 3 to 6, apparently inspired by Silverstone. Fast, flowing, and absolutely brutal if you miss the first line. Turn 11 is a long back straight, DRS heaven until it hits a heavy braking zone in turn 12. In the last sector speaks for itself. It is quite messy. Slow, technical, bumpy, barely any grip. It gets rough every single year in that section, but that is also part of COTA's charm. Now, before we talk about the predictions for this year, I want to talk about a situation that is happening off track in the McLaren camp. Remember last video when I said that McLaren's reputation would probably go downhill from where we were? Well, it's happening. But this situation has nothing to do with Oscar and Lando, it has to do with Alex Palou. If you don't know the story, Alex Palou is a Spanish IndyCar driver that is this year's champion as well. And a couple of years ago, he signed a contract with McLaren that he would join their 2023 IndyCar team and also become their Formula One test and reserve driver. But just before the move, he backed out and he stayed with Chip Ganassi Racing, and this year he won the championship. And McLaren, and by McLaren I mean the company whose CEO is Zach Brown, sued Alex for $20 million in damages. Palou claimed that Zach Brown had a conversation with him and that he basically implied that by signing the his contract, he was going to offer him later one of the Formula One seats. And that when they hired Oscar Piastri, it basically meant that McLaren was not going to keep their end of the deal. He also claims that in a conversation with Zak Brown, he admitted that it was not his idea to hire Oscar Piastri as a driver, but from Andreas Seidel, the team principal. It really feels like Zak Brown was trying to say something like, oh, well, it's not my fault. I really wanted you to be the driver, but I'm not the team principal. I cannot make that decision, even though I promised you I would. Zak Brown, on the other hand, is a bit more vague about the entire situation. He says that he told Alex there was a slight possibility, but he never fully confirmed it, and he denied stringing him along. Alex also claims that Helmut Marko was really interested in having him for the Formula One Red Bull program, and after a conversation with Zak Brown, he suddenly wasn't interested anymore. And I find this part really interesting because Alex Dune recently left McLaren with the rumor that he might be joining the Red Bull program. But this whole McLaren-Alex lawsuit situation is actually not new. This lawsuit was originally filed in August 2023, but lawsuits sometimes take years to make it to court. And to be honest, I don't think this trial could have started at a worse time for McLaren's image. If the trial had started at the beginning of the year, or maybe even last year, I don't think many people would have been talking about it. But not only has Alex become this year's IndyCar champion, but Oscar and Lando are competing for the Formula One Drivers' Championship. And if you go online, most people are not really pinning Oscar against Lando, but Lando and Oscar against McLaren as a team. Because the weird decisions made in the name of papaya rules and the terrible pit stops are making the team of McLaren look terrible, and it's a complete mess. I'm sure everyone this weekend is going to have their eyes on the team, not just because of the championship, but to see how are they going to mess up this time. Speaking of this year, let's see what will happen this weekend. Mercedes just confirmed George Russell and Kimi Antonelli as their lineup for next year, which is not really surprising, and if rumors are correct, we might be expecting another announcement either this race or next race, but from Alpine. Something to take into account for this year is that Pirelli is providing a hard tire that is one compound harder than last year. So we're going to have C1, C3, and C4 tire compounds skipping C2. This is the second time this year that Pirelli is running this experiment. However, the first time was in Spa, and because it rained, I don't think we got a lot of data from it. But I think it's going to be really interesting to see the type of strategies that teams are going to go with. On one hand, if you choose to have the hard tire at some point throughout the race, the driver will probably opt to do a one-stop. However, this compound seems to be hard to manage. So most drivers will probably opt for a two-stop, alternating between mediums and softs. So I think strategy-wise, this race is probably going to be very interesting, but this is also a sprint weekend, which means that teams only have one practice session before they have to qualify for the sprint. And even though at the beginning of the year, the sprint races seemed a little bit irrelevant and boring, given how close we are to the end of the season, every point counts, especially if you're one of the 3 drivers at the top of the grid, or if you're one of the smaller teams trying to get as much money as possible for next year. So here go my predictions. For the sprint race, I went for Lando Norris in 3rd, Oscar Piastri in 2nd, and Max Verstappen 1st. And for the race, I decided to throw a bone to Ferrari and put Charles Leclerc in 3rd, Lando Norris in 2nd, and Max Verstappen 1st. I think Oscar might do better in the sprint race, and because of that, Lando might get a boost in energy and do a lot better during the race. And I feel at this point, given the last few races, Lando is the driver in McLaren that has momentum. For some reason, Oscar Piastri hasn't been doing really well in the last few races. Some of them were his faults, but a lot of them were the team's fault as well. He's been having quite a few important small mistakes, which Lando has been having as well, but he didn't have to pay as much for them. Max, on the other hand, is on a roll. He has been doing incredible in the last few races. He did incredible in this track before, and I think he can win the race. ChatGPT went for sprint prediction, 3rd place Oscar Piastri, 2nd place Lando Norris, and 1st place Max Verstappen, and ChatGPT also gave the same answer for the race. And Gemini's sprint prediction is 3rd place George Russell, 2nd place Oscar Piastri, and 1st place Max Verstappen. And for the race, Oscar Piastri in 3rd place, 2nd place Lando Norris, and 1st place Max Verstappen. All of our predictions were pretty similar, but who knows, COTA could surprise us. But let me know down in the comments what your guys' predictions are for this race, and what is your favorite US track. As always, thank you for hanging out with me. Please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all after the race.